I'd like to call the Joint Internal Services and Health and Human Services Committees to order. Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Support Zinner.
Commissioners Perna and Zinner made the motion and seconded it to adopt the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Missing a few votes. I'll call your names if you'd like to voice vote. Just Commissioner Bueno actually now. The rest came in. Yes. Thank you. Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Next, we have minutes from the September 10th meeting of the Joint Internal Services and Health and Human Services Committee's minutes. I need a motion to approve.
Support.
Thank you. Commissioner Han Romano made the motion and seconded it to approve these minutes. Item 5 is public participation. This is the first object for public participation.
Excuse me.
Didn't we vote on it? No. Sorry. Let's vote on it. Thank you.
Motion passes 12-0.
Now we'll move on to item 5, public participation. This is the first opportunity for public participation for anybody who wishes to speak on an agenda item. Agenda items only. There'll be a second opportunity for public participation later in the meeting. Agenda items only, public? Agenda items only. We'll close public participation and move on to item 6, which is Internal Services Committee Department recommendations. Six A is on-site specialty cleaning and restoration, biohazard cleaning service, on-call services, and unit pricing. I need a motion to move to full board. Thank you. Commissioner Han Romano made the motion and seconded to move this item to full board. Ben?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm seeking approval for a contract with on-site specialty cleaning and restoration to provide biohazard cleaning services for facilities and operations. This contract consists of on-call services and all necessary work for biohazard cleanup. Services may require cleanup of blood along with removal, decontamination services related to human waste or other hazardous materials and related substances on county properties. Cleanup may be needed in both interior and exterior environments as well as locations throughout the county that may include detention facilities like our jail, vehicles, parks, etc. These vendors that we did this bid for, they need to be available for on-call services 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Most of these biohazard cleanup calls received in F&O are for the jail, police vehicles, and the various sheriff substations. This item was bid through Macomb County Purchasing Department. We obtained 4 bids. On-site restoration was the lowest qualified bidder.
Thank you. Seeing no speakers, please vote. Oh, Commissioner Sabatini?
Thank you, Chair. Hey, Ben, just really quick, I noticed this contract doesn't go to the end of, it's a 3-year deal, but it doesn't go, it's on a calendar year based? Is there any
Yeah,
reason
it's
why?
one year contract with 2 optional 1-year renewals.
Okay, so you don't want to have it calendar based, you just want it specifically for this time period?
Yeah, I think we were gonna do, well, let me look at it. I'll get back with you. I think we were gonna do calendar based, was the original intent. Let me look at that and I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Grott?
Who was providing the service before for the county?
So for a long time, I would say pre-COVID, trustees did a lot of this service, so jail trustees. Over time, the amount of trustees has dropped off. and I can't get into specifics about the jail, that's their business, but the amount of trustees has dropped off tremendously. And then COVID occurred and everyone got kind of concerned about trustees cleaning up the stuff. So since then, we've been using another company that's under contract for like carpet cleanings and things like that, and that's who we've been using, a company called Speed Clean Services. So earlier this year, we went through a process with identifying our contracts, and we realized that this contract was out of date, so we put it back out to bid.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item 6B, contract with Bernco for masonry restoration project of $1,835,767. I need a motion to move the full board.
Support.
Thank you. Commissioner Kraft and Lucido made the motion and seconded it to move this item to full board. Ben?
Okay, we are looking for approval for a contract with Bernco Incorporated to provide masonry restoration services for the 2025 masonry restoration project. Amount is $1,835,767. This project consists of multiple locations and jobs, not limited to the following. Macomb County Circuit Court, we are removing and replacing portions of the plaza deck, so the porch. We've already done the north side, so we'll be completing the whole south side, including the handicap ramps. New trench drains, guardrails, granite wall, or granite base, removal of associated planters, et cetera, that are kind of failing at this point. Lastly, replacement of the granite panels on the north elevation of the garage entrance where the former parking deck or parking structure was kind of terminated from that porch. Also doing work in Kennedy Square. We are removing and replacing the existing granite wall panels. They're all kind of broken. We've had a few incidences over there. So this includes pouring concrete stone caps, resealing, expansion joints, etc. We are replacing the stairs on the east side of the court building that are failing. Over at the Vic Wertz or the warehouse facility, we're doing a pretty substantial tuck pointing, CMU replacement, painting, new sealant in a portion of the building. And then the 42 District Court, New Baltimore, doing a whole bunch of masonry restoration out there. We are removing and replacing the fencing that is around the pond that is pretty badly damaged, and repairing and tuck pointing the signage for the court.
Thank you. Guess you got away again. Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6C, an agreement for CivicPlus MuniCode codification for $13,000. Crystal?
Good afternoon.
I'll support it.
Thank you. Commissioner Haw and Howard made the motion and seconded to move this to full board.
As I mentioned in my full board report last month, we are requesting approval to add MuniCode to our CivicPlus package. This is a product that we wanted for a few years now, and when we changed direction with our agenda management system project, we were able to take advantage of some existing funding to purchase this. You will notice there is not a concurrent budget amendment because when we chose to stay with Civic Clerk, that resulted in a cost savings, so we're just utilizing the funding that was already dedicated for that project. Most of you are probably familiar with MuniCode, as many of the cities and townships and villages use that for their code of ordinances. Transitioning to this software will allow the ordinances to be more clearly indexed, searched, and prevent confusion from multiple versions. This will save staff time when researching, help guide the county employees who abide by these ordinances, and also help the public navigate because most of them are already familiar with the format due to the local municipalities already using it. I do want to add while I'm here, although it's not part of this contract, but we did renew our contract with Civic Clerk last month, and during our negotiations, we were able to add 2 other products, one being a boards and commissions portal, which should help organize and streamline and improve the application process for the appointments that the board makes to the different boards and commissions, and also a document storage option, and we'll be moving all of our old minutes and agendas and resolutions over there. If you've ever searched for any of those documents from before we had the agenda management system, which would be prior to 2017, you'll know they live on a different website. All of that will be moved over and live on the CivicPlus website now. You didn't see that contract because we were under $35,000, but when we add this $13,000, that puts us over, so that's why I'm before you today. The annual cost for this after this year will be $4,050. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and the IT team that helped us through this is here as well in case you have any questions for them.
Thank you. Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to take items 6D and E together. A budget amendment for Capital Improvement Fund for Information Technology VoIP Voice over IP upgrade for $52,255.96. I need a motion to move these 2 items to full board.
Support.
Thank you. Who was that with the?
Romano.
Thank you. Commissioner Romano and Grote made the motion and seconded it to move 6D and E to full board. Jaco?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Our county phone system has to be upgraded. It's on version 14 right now, and we have to move it to version 15, obviously to receive support as well as security updates. We have to update these systems from time to time. People-driven technology is our IT infrastructure partner, and will be performing the upgrade with us. We have about 2,300 devices on this system today. It's going to include upgrade of 2 routers or replacement of 2 routers, as well as the update of the voice application and ensuring that any integrations we have are properly maintained.
Thank you. Did I hear you correctly? You said about 2,300 devices?
That's correct.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item 6F, purchase of Karpel Solutions, Tyler Technology, New World Law Enforcement Record Management Interface for $6,000. I need a motion to move to full board.
So moved. Support.
Thank you. Commissioner Romano and Lucido made the motion and seconded it to move to full board. Jaco?
In June of last year, I came to you with 4 interfaces for the prosecutors with their Karpel system for a total of $202,000. The reason we're back here today is on one of those interfaces, the Karpel one, there's the original cost was $84,000, and there's a cost increase of $6,000, which is above the 5% change. So we are here to ask for additional funding. We have the funding available in the capital plan.
Thank you. Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item 6G, purchase of Windows Incompatibility equipment for $174,893.95. Various HP products and Dell tablets. I need a motion to move this item to full board.
So moved. Support.
Thank you. Commissioner Lucido and Wallace made the motion and seconded it to move this item to full board. Jaco?
Commissioners, we have a mandated upgrade to Windows 11 this year. And we have some endpoint devices that are not compatible that we have to replace. Some of them or there's some MDCs, I think 25 of them. That is the in-car sheriff computers, and then about 60 desktops, a few tablets that we have to replace. That is for a total of $174,893. So we're asking to do this replacement from capital improvement funds.
Thank you. Commissioner Haw?
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Jaco.
Hi, Commissioner.
We've been making a concerted effort to make sure the entity being requested is in the appropriate budget
Yes.
line item. I'm curious why the in-car sheriff's PC is not in the sheriff's budget.
We've always had it in our replacement budgets because we replace those for the sheriff as they come up, and we have records to know how old the equipment is and so forth. I know this year we've done, a lot of work in budgeting, and as I understand it, and, obviously the finance department can speak to that. But as I understand it moving forward, those items will be in the budget line items specifically for the actual car that's going to be put in place or replaced.
Great, I'm glad to hear that, because that was the exact answer we got yesterday when I asked somebody else the same question. So thank you very much for that. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you. The second speaker disappeared, so please vote.
I was going to ask the same question.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item 6H, Agreement and Information Technology Maintenance Agreement for the fourth quarter of 2025 for $225,486.24 with Trace 3 VMware. And I need a motion to move this item to full board.
So moved.
Thank you. Commissioner Lucido and Perna made the motion and seconded to move this to full board. Jaco?
Commissioners, this is one of those maintenance agreements that I bring to you on a regular basis. VMware is one that we use to manage our server farm, our virtual server farm. It is, obviously annual maintenance that we have to pay for an amount of $225,486.
Jaco, does this include, the VMware just connects you to the remote equipment, correct?
It connects and manage all the servers in the server farm together.
But on the virtual machine that you're running out there, you have to have a Windows license or some
Yes,
Linux or Windows or something running on. Does this cover the licenses to run on the virtual machines?
the VMware licenses.
The
Yes, not the
VMware.
Microsoft licenses on the servers.
Okay, so what OS is running under the VMware?
Microsoft.
Okay,
Yep, and that's covered under our Microsoft agreement, which comes up around about April every year.
okay, so we have separate licenses for
That's correct.
the clients
Yeah.
under the VMware. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Howard?
Hey, Jaco, just a quick question. You said this was for annual maintenance, but on the agenda, it says for fourth quarter of 2025. So is this for the quarter or is this for the year?
Jennifer?
For the year, I think it's just because we bring it in the fourth quarter of every year. When we
Yeah.
bring maintenance to you to vote on, but it is for the year. And I think last year we brought you the agreement, it was a 3-year agreement. So we approved year 1, this is year 2 of that.
Okay, thanks. Wasn't here last year, so.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. At this time, I'm pleased to turn the gavel over to Commissioner Lucido for the Health and Human Services Committee.
All right. We will open up the Health and Human Service Committee. Department recommendations. We'll start with item A, a proposal for Martin Media Services LLC advertising in the amount of $77,000. Can I get a motion to recommend a full board?
Support Zinner.
Motion by Goike, supported by Zinner. And we have Laura here today to explain this to us.
This is my first RFP that I did. I've spent, as if you've been here more than a year, I've spent lots of money on advertising over the last few years because I've been gracious in getting grants. And this year, we wanted to do the RFP process for the first grant coming up. It is a fiscal year grant that this is tied to, but on top of that, I have other funding sources that are going to follow with this RFP, because it's going to be for all of my advertising as funds are available and get approved. So 12 people, 12 companies bid. I created an Excel spreadsheet that you all should have a copy of to kind of determine how much was going for the cost of the advertising buy and how much was their fees. I would definitely say it was a learning experience because it wasn't comparing apples with apples. Some people did theirs, some companies did theirs by hourly, some did theirs by flat fee. So it's kind of hard to determine by just trying to figure out, look, how much are you putting on towards my advertising? So that's kind of how I broke it out as simple as I can. So the person who I have been working for the last, or with the company that I've been working with for the last 5 years was the lowest bidder. And I am here to ask for it to go to the full board for approval for the RFP for that grant. It's a 1-year grant with obviously the ability to extend it 2 years or twice, 1 year twice, I guess, however you word that.
All right. Seeing no speakers, can we please vote?
Commissioner Van School, the system didn't capture, it just came through late, sorry. Motion passes 13-0.
All right, we'll move on to item B, a budget amendment for Health and Community Services, Michigan State Housing Development Authority, Regional Housing Partnership and Action Grant in the amount of $25,000. And we have our Director, Andrew, here to speak on this. Can I get a motion to recommend a full board?
So moved.
Motion by Howard, supported by Wallace. Hello, Andrew, how are you today?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good. The first item is a budget amendment for a grant that we received from MSHDA. This is helping to assist our ongoing efforts with the Regional Housing Partnership that I've spoke in the past about at these meetings. This specific grant is actually going to be connected to item E on your agenda, which is a contract for a zoning map project. This is the zoning best practices has been something that has been asked for technical assistance to advise local municipalities on ways that they can improve or look at their local zoning ordinances as it relates to housing. And it's something that our local municipalities that participate in our regional housing partnership have asked us as a need that they would definitely benefit from this work. So this is a grant. The item B is the actual grant dollars, the actions grant that we received from MSHDA. And I can go on to item E, or I can wait until we get to that point as well, Commissioner.
Do you guys mind amending your motion to add item E?
Support, or so.
All right, we have support to do that, so we can move on to item E.
Thanks, Commissioner. I just said that because they are linked
Yes.
up. The contract that you have for item E is a contract with Michigan Association of Planning, and it's the amount for $47,928.85. $25,000 of that total is going towards that from the action grant to go towards that $47,000. The rest of it is actually being covered by dollars from our planning department, who are actually looking for this project as well. That will benefit the work they do within planning and economic development. So it's a partnership between Health and Community Services and planning for this work, that we both feel strongly that this would be very beneficial to our county and Macomb County to do a look and best practices. So what this will be able to do is compare and contrast our zoning ordinances in the county and actually across the state. So what we're trying to do is really look at ways that we can provide that assistance to our local municipalities. We do have them involved. We have our most of all of them are participating in this regional housing partnership. So we're really looking forward to this project, and something that's been a long time coming for us. I'd be happy to answer
We
any
have a couple
questions.
of questions here. Commissioner Howard.
Two quick ones. The study that you guys are doing, do we have an exact due dates or final date on that yet?
So we've received the report back from the housing needs assessment. We're just working with the contractor on a couple of changes, but that report will be done within the next couple of weeks, finalized.
Okay.
We're actually, we just announced today that we're going to be doing a housing summit at Macomb Community College South Campus, November 17th. We're going to release those results and do a whole session on the results of what that assessment showed and ways that we can move forward. So I'll get that information to all of you, but just kind of shameless plug here for that housing summit. I'm really excited about it. It's been something that a lot of us have been talking about here, and I think it's the first step to our next actions here about affordable housing.
Yeah, if you could get the results of that study over, I'd love to read them, and I'll for sure
Absolutely.
be there on November 17th. In regards to item E, the 47,000, we're not charging cities to advise them on that, correct? Or are we going to charge the cities?
We are not charging the cities for this information. So this is something that is, Michigan Association of Planners are utilizing the Zoning Atlas platform that's already been paid for. And they're utilizing this platform to consolidate that information and look at our own, gather with our own local municipalities to help advise them. But we are not planning to charge the local municipalities.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Wallace.
Thank you. I'm excited about the housing summit. I look forward to that. And I just wanted to thank you for working with me on the health fair. That was a great turnout. I think Macomb Community Action had the most popular table. Everyone went straight there. But your team was so nice and gracious. We had a lot of unhoused community come. And a few people that were just released from the jail. So it was an interesting combination of people, but very, very great group. And I just wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Andrew, great job on this, and this is a long time coming. I know we've really needed this information. This will definitely help our locals. I know we're always talking about affordable housing and how to solve that problem, and this is a step in the right direction. So great job on this. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, can we please vote on items B and E?
Motion passes 13-0.
All right, we are going to move on to items C and D, which are contracts with Paradigm Removal Services and Heritage Services LLC for remains removal and transport services, both in the amount of $75,000. Can I please get a motion to recommend a full board?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to move these two items to your committee next month on November 5th. There's some details about these contracts that I've been investigating and trying to understand, and I feel that I need a little bit more time. The current contract runs through the end of the year, so this should not be putting any kind of time limit or damper on our current services.
All right, so we have a motion to,
Support.
and we have support. Andrew, would you like to talk on these items?
If we're going to move it to next month's meeting, I'd be happy to answer questions at that time.
I mean, if you want to speak on them right now before we make our vote, it's up to you.
These, I'd rather address it when we're going to vote on it,
Okay.
Commissioner.
Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the chair to Commissioner Van Sickle, what issues, details are you looking into?
There are some inconsistencies that I'm seeing between information I have from one of the bidders and the information that's been presented in our documents. And I don't want to go any further than that without better understanding things and having good documentation
Thank you. Thank
on
you,
my
Madam Chair.
side to present.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Just say.
All right, can we please vote?
So the motion is to postpone.
What's the wording on
The motion is to postpone till the
To next month.
Yeah, you're right.
Until he gets his answers.
Motion to table it till next, right?
We don't,
Yes.
Just postpone.
We're postponing 1 month. The current contract goes to the end of the year.
Motion passes 12-1. Commissioner Lucido voting no.
All right, and I believe that's all we have for you today.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item F, which is a budget amendment for Martha T. Berry. Adjust revenue and expenditures based on revenue and expenditure projections. Can I get a motion to recommend item F to full board?
is there a motion?
Support.
I have a motion by Zinner and a support by Romano. Hi, Kevin, how are you?
Great. How are you, Commissioner?
Good.
On a side note, I love affordable housing because it does help actually with our census too. It keeps it lower by keeping people in the community longer. So I'm a full advocate of that. I hope it's successful. Our amendment today is for our current year budget ending in our calendar year. We've had a number of changes throughout the year. I'm pleased to say that our census has gone up significantly, which is allowing us to project a better rate, total dollar revenue through the end of the year. The negative part of it is we were getting a hit, and we found out today our final number on our actual rate, which is a reduction. It's a little bit better than we expected, but it still is a significant number. We also increased what's called longevity, which is a special needs Medicare plan. As you well know, a lot of privatization is going into the Medicare and Medicaid programs. This is called an iSNP that we are really helping our residents getting into because it's specifically designed for long-term care residents, and we're getting some more revenue from them. So those are the positive things that are happening on the revenue side. This amendment will still require us to use some of our fund balance, however. We have, with an increase in census comes an increase in the number of people that we need to have here. Our supplies and services, of course, goes up as well. You'll notice the big reductions under operating expenditures are going into repairs and maintenance and capital outlay. That's because we're pausing some of the things that we wanted to do so that we could meet our budget recommendations. We have our liability insurance has increased. We had a significant change in the last administration in terms of regulation, which required an abundance of education and training. In addition to that, we are funding LPNs and CNAs to go to nursing school. And that is helping us with our census. It helps us in our community, but that's a pretty significant expense as well. Those are the high-level views of that. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have on this amendment.
Okay, we'll start out with Commissioner Zinner.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say that Martha T. Berry, for some people, they kind of think of it as a different place that's not necessarily, because it's not a business place, they think of it differently. But Martha T. Berry, for 75 years, has been part of Macomb government, Macomb County government. And some people, I'm not saying here, but I have heard some people say, well, it should be self-sufficient. But dealing with healthcare and situations that they have to deal with, that doesn't always it isn't always ideal, an ideal situation. Dr. Berry, probably before 75 years ago, had all his money set for when he died. He wanted the county to take it over so that people who needed help could get it, which is, of course, admirable. And Kevin and his team, they do a wonderful job. I mean, it's a great place to go, and it's known around the state and in different areas of the country for how great the care is there. In regard to being self-sufficient, this podium here, where Kevin's standing now, he'll be probably asking for money. Well, let's think about this a minute. Who else comes to that podium asking for money here? HHS, F&O, Animal Control, Public Works, Parks and Rec, prosecutor, clerk. Everybody that comes here is not self-sufficient. That's what we do here, is help take care of people. We decide what, if they can have the money, if they cannot have the money. It's usually a given, but nobody's self-sufficient, and that's why they come here to that podium right there. All of the entities, that's just a few. So it's something to think about. They're not the only ones who are not self-sufficient. The only thing I want to say too is that this board, everyone is of high moral character. And I hope that we will support Kevin and Martha T. with everything that we can, because we, as the leaders for this, we should be taking care of the people that are there. That's what that doctor had wanted. It's the minimum we can do. We're not saying adding on beds, it's just of the people that we can help. These people are looking for help, they need help, but that's a set amount of people. And I just hope that you will agree with me on this. Thank you very much, and thank you, Kevin and Jeff and the other people that work on that board. And in the facility, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Zinner. Commissioner Howard.
Just really quick, you indicated that the rate increase is probably the largest part not increase, the rate difference. Just for the benefit of those listening, can you explain who determines that rate and why it was decreased? I know we discussed this when we had our meeting at Martha T. Berry, but just for those that are watching.
Certainly, that's a great question, Commissioner. The rates that we have are set by the state of Michigan, and there's a formula that does not include any cost of living or inflationary indexes. As a matter of fact, they took a look at the total amount. Do you have that with you? Thank you. Thank you. They took a look at our total costs from the previous year, and what they determined was that our costs, even though our costs went up, they didn't go up as much as our census did. Our census went up wonderfully, so our cost per resident per day becomes less. And so when they did that, without an inflation adjustment, we're getting paid for last year's rates for next year, which is a year and a half to 2 years of inflation and cost of living indexes. The interesting thing is the federal government recognizes that they do what's called a Medicare market basket for long-term care, and determine that it's going to be at about a 4% increase, but they don't give that to us on the Medicaid rate. So they give us none of that. In addition, they cap how much we get. Even though we invest in the building, they say you can't have any more than roughly $13 or $14 per day, depending on how it's calculated. Right now it's what, 13? Yeah. So you take a look at that. We're working off of a year ago's expenses to pay for next year's services, or this year's services, from 18 months at least. And they do not do an inflation factor for us. So it's designed essentially to keep us at losing money, unless you have other sources of income. That's why the not-for-profits have gone out. And that's also why you see the for-profits changing hands so often, because the significant interest that they get on the loans are a reimbursable expense. So it's essentially banks trading money and the owners having this huge interest expense, which takes it away from the residents. We don't have that. Every dollar goes into people, plant, or products. So every dollar that we have goes into that. Our rate is set for us. We can set our private pay rate, but only a few people have that, and not many people pay that because it is a significant amount of money, and they become impoverished pretty quickly if they don't have a lot in there. Also, we're not that facility that is, that gives them a lot of huge choices, like some of the high-level ones where you're putting $500,000 in, like a Fox Run or something like that, where it's a continuing care retirement community. That's not what we do. We're a safety net. So that's a great question. I really appreciate that. But our rate is set by the state of Michigan, and we cannot ask for more money from any Medicaid resident other than what's there. And they determine how much the resident will pay us out of their Social Security.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Chair.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you. Hi, Kevin. Hey, Jeff. So your adjustment is about $300,000, which is roughly, what, 1% of your total revenue?
Yeah, that's about the net of it, yes.
In comparison to last year, what was this adjustment similar to what you had to do last year?
It was close.
Yeah, it was close. I think a lot of this adjustment is, we do this budget a year ago. Things have happened since then. We tried to, hopefully we're getting rid of contracted services and the agency that we're using. We haven't been able to do that. So we didn't budget as much as we probably should have a year ago. And to offset that, it's building repairs and capital outlay that we're kind of pulling money from to make up for that difference.
Okay, great. I mean, to be within that range is pretty good, let's just be honest. So I just wanted to see if it's consistent to, previous years. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, and, thank you for coming to us and keeping us up to date on all these different changes, so. We have a motion. Can we please vote?
Motion passes 13-0.
Did you break it? All right, we're going to move on to item G, which is Resolution 2025-14186, a resolution to levy a Macomb County millage to support capital improvements as Martha T. Berry Medical Care Facility. Can I get a motion to recommend a full board?
Support.
I have motion by Perna.
Support, Zinner.
Support by Zinner. All right. This would help, this millage would help generate much needed money for Martha T. Berry to be able to do some upgrades to their facility. Upgrades that have been, some of them have actually been put off for a couple of years. The cost is very minimal per household. We're looking at approximately about 83 cents per household. So I think, and I hope the rest of the board feels the same way, that to recognize how important this is, to make sure that we are taking care of all of those patients that live in those facilities. Those are our seniors here in Macomb County, and I think that we all need to make sure we put our seniors first. With that said, I will also give the floor to Director Evans again, so he can speak on this.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Decades ago, the state, the authors of the state constitution in their wisdom recognizes in their code that there is a need in many areas for county medical care facilities. And they give the county commissioners the option when there is a need for expansion of services or when there's a regulatory requirement to go ahead with a voice vote, put a 0.1 mil millage in for those such services. We have had that one time here, and it was wildly successful. That was about 7 years ago. It truly helped us at the time because we were in a similar position that we are right now, although we're a little bit better than we were before. But we also have higher expenses than we've had before. And we have the need in such a fluctuating time to be able to have some fund balance. So when you juxtapose us next to other millages that are here in the county, the Detroit Institute of Arts, which I love, has a millage that goes for 20 years. And they have $280 million in their endowment. And if you look at their website, it says we want the tax dollars to go to help expand so we get to $400 million in our endowment. I think it pleases the commission that I'm not asking for $400 million. I'm not even asking for $40 million. I'm not asking for a 20-year millage, even though 3 out of 4 county medical care facilities, the counties have some sort of millage for them. We have really done a great job, in great part thanks to Jeff Ostermeyer, our controller, to help us do cash forecasting and managing our finances so we can maintain a high level of staffing, a high quality, looking at infrastructure. We don't do things fancy, we do things finally. We do our best to make sure it's high leverage with good value, not the cheapest thing in there. So the building that is yours, 100% of anything that we do is owned by the county. I'm pleased to say that that we have put over $17 million into the facility, just $1 million this year, into the facility. That's not into anything else. And all that is value that's added to the county building. I am asking for this to go forward on a bipartisan level, because this is not something that I believe should be set in a partisanship manner. It should not be framed in a Democrat versus Republican. We do need to take care of our prisoners. We do need to take care of our animals. We do need the work at the medical examiner's office, all of which those have gone by, and you have more going on. And we also need to take care of our seniors, those that have been hurt, those who have been lost, those who lose families, those who lose income. I'm asking that you think of this not as a partisan issue, but as a caring issue, and pass the 0.1 millage. I know some of you might get some grief on it. Please give them my phone number.
Careful what you ask for.
100%.
Thank you. Commissioner Zinner.
I would just say again that there were several of us that came on. This is our 5th year. And at that time, I think you were still starting to work on the HVAC.
Yes.
And it's still not funded.
That's correct. Yeah.
That is state mandated. The elevator, state mandated. So these are requirements for the people there in their rooms to have excellent or better oxygenation. I mean, these are things that just have to be done.
I'm glad you brought that up, Commissioner, because this summer we had to actually run sprinklers up to the roof to keep our HVAC units cool. We did blow a circuit board, and we had to buy it on eBay for $8,000 a circuit board because they no longer make them. They just are, the machines we have up top are obsolete. And the more we have to buy on eBay, the more we have to pay pirate prices.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you. I'm all for funding the items you were talking about, Martha T. Berry. I would just like to fund them out of our reserve funds instead of putting a new tax levy on our citizens. We have extra money, not extra, but we have the money in the reserve fund, not your reserve fund, ours. I'd like to just simply write a check and take care of it and not put more taxes, I don't care how small, on our citizens. But again, I totally support these expenditures for Martha T. Berry. I'd like to just write a check next week and take care of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ha.
Thank you, Chair. Kevin, you emphasized a very critical point. This is the county's building. You have heating, cooling, elevators, especially the elevator issue, and maybe the heating and cooling as well. Those have safety implications. You're going to have OSHA coming in there if they're not already been there and shut down your elevators, excuse me, which means you won't be able to service the clientele who are seniors, as you have emphasized. So I'm going to support this initiative. To me, we make decisions based on needs of the county. I don't think bipartisanship plays a role here whatsoever, so I didn't quite like that statement. I understand where you're coming from with it, but we make decisions on all of the initiatives on a priority basis and what's needed. So whether my colleagues vote yes or no, I don't think it's a bipartisanship issue. I can agree with Commissioner Van Sickle on not wanting to raise the tax, even though it's 83 cents per household. But it's a priority to me and him to protect our seniors. The question is, do we want to approve this, or do we want to take $2 million out of the general fund? It's not an issue of whether or not it's going to be done. The issue is how it's going to be paid for.
Thank you.
So with that, I'll say that's all I have, Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Ha. Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Kevin, it's no secret you've been able to pull a 180 with Martha T. Berry since you've been in this position. And obviously, based on what's here in the millage language, it's specific to what the total amount will be used for. It's specific to the elevators, and it's specific to the HVAC. I think in the resolution also states that F&O would be responsible for that, and they would work with you to get that done. So I do understand you have put a lot of money into that building over the years, and have maintained it to the best of your ability, and I think that, that should be warranted. But it is a tough position. It can go either way in the sense of how we could solve this problem. Most recently, we just had our capital plan presented to the board, and the large amount of capital needs that this county has. And, this is just another one of those. And the question really is how do we solve the problem? So whatever the decision is today, I know we're going to work collectively to try and solve the problem. So
I'm grateful, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Howard.
I was going to really ask the chair and Commissioner Ha, because this is a county building. We had this conversation with the roads department. Why isn't this building managed by F&O in regards to facility upgrades and things like that?
I think the chair can address that.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
We've had a lot of conversation.
I could too, if you'd like me to fill in.
Kevin, if you'd like to, it's just a unique situation. There's a JOA, there's a lease agreement. Martha T. Berry is its own state agency.
Sure.
So that being said,
it's also codified a little bit to Commissioner Howard. So what happened is in the state Public Act 368, you can take a look at it, and it talks about the county medical care facilities that the county board would establish the facility and have it run on their behalf by the Health and Human Services Board. It's also the requirement of the county to provide a building for that same service. So when you say, how come you aren't running it? It's because the state code says the Health and Human Services Board runs Martha T. Berry, essentially. So we are a discreetly presented component of the county, and we have been forever, and we're a little bit different, right? You probably can tell just by looking at me, I'm a little bit different, right? It's the same thing with our facility. We have a symbiotic relationship, and we're discreetly presented component. So our budget's different. Our budget's an enterprise budget, not an appropriations budget. And I know a lot of people say, well, we need to say we appropriate this. Well, you actually don't appropriate this money because there's $0 appropriated except when you do something like you're doing right now. We have to, as a 512 under the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act, we are a 512, which is an enterprise fund, which much like a business up the street, we have to do our best to make the vast majority, not all of it, but the vast majority of our money from the billings that we have. So that's why Medicare and Medicaid, we get those monies in and then we use those. And then the state and federal government look at us on a cost report and says, this is how much we're gonna let you work on towards your staff, and this is how much we're gonna allow you to work to pay for the building. It's always a shortfall. So, and that's why you don't want to run the facility because what happens is when you look at it from that standpoint, You also need to recognize that there are a number of other government entities that look at our building differently than what they look at this building. So there's health requirements that we have in place that are required to be here. OSHA, fire safety, we have it a little bit differently because we also have clinical requirements that we have. So the level of standard that we have to meet a building like this is significantly different, and you have to have a different knowledge level. Just example, as we're working with the jail, the project, they were doing some things that they're not allowed to do on our property, and they said, well, that's no big deal. You don't have to have a fence there. Well, yeah, we have to have a fence there because the rules tell us that. So we have to have a special understanding, and you really don't want that. We also believe that it makes more sense that you have the Health and Service Board run it on your behalf to have some sort of separation on liability. We're continuing to work on that too. Still your building, but if things go south, yes, I'm putting it on record. That's my job, and that's the Health and Human Services job to make sure that the facility's in good shape, and not directly this board. Is that helpful?
Yes, I think everything that you've been doing in the short time that I've been able to learn about everything, where you guys were, where you are now, has been phenomenal. And you're working with a 4% deficit because of the upper levels of government. That has nothing to do with you. And I think this is, a responsibility to care for others in our community. I think all of us bear that responsibility. I do agree with Commissioner Van Sickle. It would be, and Commissioner Hall, that this is definitely something. It's just the how mechanism is the challenging part here. But I agree with Commissioner Lucido and definitely in support of it.
Thank you. Commissioner Romano?
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Kev.
Commissioner.
I think everybody here on this board will agree you're doing an outstanding job. I mean, that's a given. I'm not trying to pat you on the back. It's a given. We know that. I remember the same Kevin Evans came to us a few years ago in deep problems, with a lot of problems, financial problems, and this board ponied up and said, hey, we want to support you. We own the building. And I understand that portion of it too, but I want to go on record as saying I cannot support this millage. I won't support this millage. I think there's other avenues available to us. Mr. Van Sickle mentioned one, and I think there may be other avenues available to us. I can't put this burden back onto the taxpayers again for another millage, so I just wanted to know where I stand. You do an outstanding job. We need Martha T., but I won't support a millage. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano. And really quick, I believe they need approximately $5 million between the HVAC and the elevators. And I'll be honest, I was looking at our budget and I was looking at our capital improvement plans and kind of what Commissioner Sabatini said. There's a lot of need for capital improvement in this county. And finding those funds is definitely going to be difficult if we are going to try to pull it out of our budget. Moving on to Commissioner Zinner for round two.
Thank you, Chair. I think we should have paid for it long before. I think there probably was some money, probably enough anyway, just to get the HVAC done. But the problem is, if it keeps being pushed off year after year after year, it can't be pushed off, really. I mean, and I don't want a millage. I mean, the last thing I wanted to do was vote for a millage. But if we're not going to get the money to him, then what's going to happen to the people there? And that's just the situation. It's a very small millage, and it's only for the 1 year, right?
Yes.
It's only for 1 year. It's not a continual. And that's where I am. That's just my point. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Van Sickle, round two.
Thank you. When you do a millage, you have to wait to collect it, don't you? To get the money?
Yes.
So
yeah, it comes in as the households pay it. As
so
Jeff
we
and I
have to
pay our
bill
bills.
it out and wait for everybody to pay it to get it for you.
They start that usually second quarter of the year after it's approved. So
Second quarter.
yeah, so it'd be
So
April.
you'd have to wait till like
April next year.
April next year.
Mhm.
I don't want you to wait till April next year. I want you to do it now. So I don't want to give you the millage. I want to pay it we'll pay for it and make it happen. Commissioner Hawes said it's a safety issue. So why do we want to wait 6 months to start to fix a safety issue? Makes no sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wayno.
Thank you. I guess I also, I know that you've also done a great job, and that's, I don't think under dispute. I guess I do want to ask, you talked about some of the funding that we've investigated every way possible to generate additional revenue from what you're doing there.
Yes.
Any outside the box thinking to fund, besides with whether the millage, or we take the money from the general fund, but just even in general as things, because we do want to make sure that Martha T. Berry is here and is functional and supporting our seniors. Can you just speak to all of the ways that you've looked to fund in the best way possible?
I appreciate the question, Commissioner. Actually, Chair Sabatini sent over a list of potential grants from both the state and federal level that we looked at, and all but one of them were precluded from because of our relationship as a government entity. So we've been doing that for years. Matter of fact, when I was asked this many years ago, they asked me to look for other ways of funding, and I didn't have it there. The good news here is I was able to find a small one. When I say small, it's $250,000. That's one of the part of the amended budget is in revenue, is that we're getting $250,000 from the Michigan Public Health Institute on infection control to help with our PTECs. Those are personal thermal air conditioning units, the kind that you see in hotels. Mm-hmm. Every resident has their own there. We're upgrading those both with safer fluid and with HEPA filters, which could not be retrofitted. So we were able to do that. We needed new PTECs anyway. That bill costs about $330,000. We got $250,000 of it from that. So we're looking at every way that we can. Some of the infection control grants don't allow for physical plant. They call for training, for hand washing, for supplies that are disposable, and training on how to use those to kill specific viruses and things. That's where the majority of the infection control. There is nothing out there right now that has it specifically for our HVAC systems. When the ARP funding came out, they said specifically that money could be used for nursing home HVAC systems. I can't access any of that at the state level because our county was large enough to get their own, and that's being used. And believe me, I'm not complaining. We need to have an opioid intake center, but that was a transformational decision that was made by this body and by the county executive. But that was the money that was set aside for it when the time came. So I did not get that money, and I understand it. But that leads to the point that all of you are talking about is, as soon as you say it has to come from our money, then there's competing interests. I was competing with prisoners on that, and I lost. But I'm not, believe me, I'm not bitter, all right? See my face? I'm not bitter. I want our people taken care of. I want our community safe, right? So I'm a firm believer in our infrastructure is organic, and everything touches everything else. So the better we handle our opioid crisis, the less we have to work on as a county medical care facility. The better we handle affordable housing, the less I have to do. So if we can make sure that we have all these systems in place, that's it. But I continue to look for areas that we can. They just aren't there for buildings. It just isn't pretty. Somebody asked me, well, can't you just raise the funds at your foundation? By the way, one more invitation for anybody that would like to come. We'd love to have you there. It's next Thursday, 5:30 to 9. Come as my guest. Bring a guest. Just let us know. Happy to have you there. We net about $25,000 to $35,000 at that event. So if I want to have that, be able to fund everything, you extrapolate that out, in 50 years, I could have all I need, right? So that's not the function of the foundation for the physical plan. That's specifically for our staff. But the good news is, because they've done some really cool things, like get us a van and get us now another bus, some of that money is freed up in our operations to do that, to do some of the physical plan things. So I'm looking at all the different ways that I can work the money in the best way to get us our reimbursement stronger and take care of a building. And I'm really proud of the work that our team has done. So, but thank you. I'm sorry I don't have better news for you on that. They just aren't out there. I will tell you that there is a Zoom call that we're going to be taking in November that has to do with specifically government grants for building infrastructure. So I'm hoping to get some money on that, or at least get some ideas on that. That looks to be like a 2-year out project, but I need this stuff right now.
And is that a federal grant?
I just told you more than I know about it.
Okay.
Good trick.
I do know the time and date, and they said it's for federal. It's federal funding for government facilities.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that also came from the efforts of Chair Sabatini.
And I will say that we're really lucky here in Macomb County that we did not have to ask our taxpayers for a millage for the new jail. Thankfully, we were able to use ARPA funds for that, because that would have been a very expensive millage. With Commissioner Haw.
Thank you. So if I'm hearing correctly from my fellow commissioners, the option of paying for the elevator and heat vac is not the issue. The issue is how to do that. So we have an opportunity here to do it through approval of the millage. If we don't do that, then you have to put it in your budget and request it for 2026.
From what I understand.
Or there's a third option that I heard. I see you're looking for somebody over there. There's a third option. Wait, the third option is just to write you a check. Now, I haven't heard finance or F&O or anybody else say that's about, you're looking in your empty pockets, aren't you there, Vic? We're scouring for money now, looking through the budget. So writing you a check today with the approval of this board, is that an option? And you can let Vicki answer that.
Well, I said, Vicki, I've got a pen. She said, I got no checks. So I'll turn it over.
Oh, yeah,
We got paper.
Vicky.
Good afternoon. As you know, and you have talked about, just to clarify that, yes, his project is on the capital improvement plan. So the ability, Kevin wouldn't necessarily have to come up himself to present the project and ask for money. That was part of the exec's office consideration and where best to place that project. And we placed it on the capital improvement plan. Yes, it's a large plan, but that can come forward to the board internally and be brought forward if that's the board's desire to be considered to take from either right now what's presented in the budget for next year as part of the capital outlay funds, or as others have said to be able to take it from fund balance.
That's the capital improvement plan that, if I recall correctly, was at $431 million it
Correct.
needs. So what you're saying is we could reprioritize it, but it's still a budgetary issue.
Correct.
Now, the second question back to you, if the money was made available, are you waiting till April to fix the elevators?
No, if we get approval on it, well, let me back up a little bit. There are there's a plan C and D that are difficult. I prefer not to talk about right now until we know for sure. But we have to fix them. We're required to replace those elevators, and we have to fix our HVAC. So as Vicki indicated, there's $2 million. Just to be fair, it's $2 million in the capital budget, which would be enough to take care of the elevators and probably do a study on the HVAC, and that would be about it. But it wouldn't.
Which means you're not fixing it.
it means I'm not fixing it.
Okay.
If it's just the 2 million, if that is it. If it's 4 or 5 million, however it gets there, I can tell there's a lot of tension in the room about that, and I really want to say thank you for being willing to do this. It means a lot to me. But however it's done, we will be ready to put new units, new HVAC units on the roof and take care of the elevator next year as soon as I say it's okay. I just talked with Jeff Mader, who's our maintenance manager, and he said, you know, we're ready to work with Ben's consultant, who he's recommending for the elevator. We're going to talk about getting that agreement in place prior to that. But we do need some way of being able to finance it, and we've been putting it off as long as we can. So it'll get done next year one way or the other. I just need help.
So either option, F&O is going to be the managers of the project as discussed by Chairman Sabatini with you, correct?
I don't know if manager is that strong a word. I know that they're going to take the lead on it, but our guys, because our guys know the rules, Jeff Mader and my team have to be a significant part of that. Some of the challenges that we had before was that we were there only once in a while, and there was some communication mix-up, and things kind of fell off the table. So our guy understands that building better than anybody else in the county, and he's got to be a significant part of that. At the same time, we want to use Ben's leadership, Ben's contractors, Ben's consultants to do all of that, Ben's bid process, so that the county commissioners know that we're using your money in the way that you see fit based on your regulations.
It's the second time in 2 weeks we've kind of thrown things on Ben's plate with him hiding behind the pole over there, so I understand that. So to summarize, we're down to two options. We can either pass this millage, or we can take it in the capital improvements project and reprioritize it over some of the other projects that were ahead of yours and allocate the 2 million in the budget next year. That's correct.
I have a question really quick, I'm sorry. But they need more than 2 million, don't they? Okay, so I just wanted to clarify. Yes, but we have to increase that. We have to increase it, okay.
And that's where the challenge comes, yeah.
You didn't have to answer that, Kevin. Thank you.
Sorry.
Point of order, Chair. Can I just say
Yes.
something really quick? So 2 million's in the budget. That was to prioritize the elevators because the elevators have a deadline of 2026. And I know Ben's here. I know he probably doesn't want to come up to the podium, but he can just reconfirm this. And obviously, he would be working with Jeff and Kevin's team. But maybe, Ben, you can just clarify some of those things.
Sure. Yeah, so obviously Kevin's building or the county's building that Kevin's operating is no different than what we're really dealing with across the board. The infrastructure is old. I've been in his facility, but I haven't been as involved as his crew and the day-to-day operation of that and the complexities of their HVAC and oxygen systems, et cetera. The reality on a couple things, just based on my experience of what's going on right now, an elevator right now, we would get that process started with our elevator consultants. We'd work up a bid spec, whether it's a modernization, full replacement, full car replacement, cables, you name it. Get that out on the street. We would engage with a elevator firm. There's many. The problem is that those components of those elevators are probably a year to 18 months out. That's the reality in the elevator world. There's ways to navigate that, but we just experienced in the jail project. For the new elevators was almost a 2-year waiting time. And the 4 elevators that we're modernizing in the tower was about a year, 18-month lead time for those parts and all those pieces. And it's also, we're small potatoes in the elevator world. There's buildings downtown that have banks of 60 elevators where, Kevin and I are managing much less. But that's just the reality of the elevator world. And the same goes for HVAC. Some of these components are very long lead time, including the design and engineering of those products or projects. So the reality of spending some money in design early in 26, just speaking off the cuff, is, you know, we could spend money starting that design, but the bulk of that cost would be later in the year of 26. Again, this is shooting from the hip. I'm just kind of wrapping my head around this all right now. So don't know if that answers your question or if I'm just rambling.
We also have elevator contracts for maintenance and
Good,
repair,
sir.
which are
Thank
required
you.
there.
For round 3, I will call.
Well, Commissioner Kraft will be first.
Oh, Commissioner Kraft is not on my list.
Oh.
But I do have Commissioner Howard for round 3.
I saw his name on the list. I thought he was going to answer my question before I asked it. So just to understand, if I understand Ben correctly, that if we were to buy that elevator today, we would still be 2 years out from getting that stuff in, but it's required to have it replaced by next year?
Yeah.
So I'm back. So the way it works, and this occurs occasionally, or actually a little bit more frequently lately post-COVID. But so the way the state board works for the elevators and escalators, they want you to see that you're doing something. So we would engage with these firms, we'd get under contract, we'd order things, do our deposits or whatever we need to do. And we would provide, the state would be reviewing all those documents and they'd understand that, okay, you're not in compliance, but you're working on compliance or whatever the issue is. So that's common. So there would be, he would be above board still, but it requires action.
And so for the HVAC, if the millage were to get voted on and go through, you know, those funds wouldn't be accessible until April. Who knows how long after April that you would be able to get the job actually done. What happens if there's a failure between now and then? And like, what is the condition of it? Like, how truly urgent is this matter?
Well, I think sprinklers going up on the roof is pretty significant. The good news is, right now, let me back up. We're required to get it done, so I have to get it done no matter what. And you have other buildings here where something catches fire, you just take care of it, right? Insurance pays for some of it, you pull funds from someplace else. So it's no different than what would happen with us. If we have a failure, we have to do that. To Ben's point, they call it good faith effort. You have to actually give, if you're not in compliance, you have to have a very detailed agenda of, and milestones that you're accomplishing, that you show the state over time. That by March, I have this, by April, I have this, by June, I have this. You have to do that, and you're constantly giving them that information. Same thing, we don't have that same issue with the HVAC from an oversight standpoint, but we have it just from an infrastructure standpoint. I think we're going to be okay through the winter, because we're operating now on the heat, which our PTACs really help a lot in that way. It's easier to manage the heat than it is to manage the air conditioning. We did already replace, just so you know, we did have a failure where we do what's called a lockout. For those of you that know OSHA, there's something called a lockout tag that you're required to put on something if it's unsafe. We had one of those because we had a crack in the heat exchanger, which creates carbon monoxide. So we had to turn that off, replace that, and put it back into service. So those things happen, and we just have to fix it. That was a $60,000 fix. So we just have to get it done. I would have preferred to have that as part of that larger plan, but that's what happens. And so we'll continue to do that until we can get everything updated.
Okay, I guess my final question is like, does this, I guess, I don't know who this would be directed to, does this need to get voted on today? Because, you know, we're talking about like, I don't know the answer. Do we have the money to be able to add additional $3 million to this project in our capital improvement plan? I know we're going through our budget process right now, so I don't know that we have that extra $3 million in our budget to do that, but I would love, you know, I learned of this item a week ago. I'd love to be able to look into that before we go ahead and vote on this. And it goes back to the how, not whether we do it or not. If we have the money and are able to fund it ourselves without levying a millage, that would be the most ideal scenario. But I don't know that that's the case because we just started the budget process, and forgive me, I'm new, so I'm just not sure whether we have the money or not now to just be able to write the check and do it. But I think it absolutely needs to get done before, it's for some residents, it's life or death for some of the residents in the facility.
I think that's a good question for our finance chair, Commissioner Kraft.
Just why I was hoping he was going to answer.
Well, according to the budget, we have $1.1 billion.
Billion?
With a B. $1.1 billion, Commissioner Haas. So since you brought me into this, I wasn't going to speak to this, but we have to work on our priorities. Ever since I've sat in this chair, we've had a 911 tax go through. We've had Martha T. Berry. This is the second time now, first time it passed. Now there's this time. What are the priorities here? What are we doing? We have a $1.1 billion budget. Kevin's asking us for what, 4, 5, 6? You want 10? I mean, honestly, seriously though, the same thing with 911. That's kind of a service that we need to provide to the citizens of this county, just like the care for our elders, honestly. So do we have the money? Absolutely. Could we find it? Absolutely. But it's the technicalities, as we've talked about for the 8 years I've been in this chair, is how do we do that? Does Commissioner Van Sickle walk over to Martha T. Berry tomorrow and give Jeff a check? I don't think so.
We would say
but,
thank you.
But honestly, that's the difficulties that we have had with this issue over the years that I've been here, because that's what I've been the proponent of. I don't want to do a millage. I don't want to tax the people any more than they already are. I don't care if it's a nickel. How do we do it, though? You started this, Madam Chair.
I know.
I'm
It's
finished
like,
now.
that was my question, is where we would cut for, where would we cut this from to put it in the budget? Okay.
Okay,
Commissioner Zinner.
thank you. May I ask the vice chair a question?
Yeah.
Mr. Vice Chair, how many people do you need to hurt to get him up right away? And can you do whatever you have to do to get the money for the finance manager? What do you have to do? Just get it done. Can you do that for me? Thanks a lot.
You're asking me that question?
Yeah. You're the one who said we could put him up. Commissioner Kraft is saying we can do it, so can we do that? Can you get it done? Get it done like right away? Because it's been 5 years that I've been moaning about this. You guys should be tired of hearing me say it, but 5 years of me bringing this up. So
If you're asking for my opinion, I will just repeat what Commissioner Kraft just said. There is a prioritization in the capital outlay budget. We can stop spending money on something and transfer it and reprioritize Martha T. Berry. We can not buy police cars. We can not hire sheriffs. What our job is to, and I'm just repeating what the commissioner said, is to prioritize what we want to do. Some things are safety related, some are public relations related, some are F&O related, some are people related, and headcount related. So our job is to prioritize how we want to spend. I think the number was 1.1 with a B. So we all understand that. What he's asking is a one-year millage to gain revenue. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to respond to your question, Barb,
I'm just saying,
I don't think it should have been directed to me.
well, I'm just saying, can you get him up so he's like 1 or 2 on the list? Or can we get the check written?
Well,
What's the fast track on that?
I mean,
Because if we're
Commissioner
waiting,
Zinner,
it's
I
gonna
mean,
take months.
we can move them up on the list. I mean, we're going to vote on this budget. I mean, we could technically move them up on the list. I think the bigger question is, like Commissioner Van Sickle, is where would we even get the, what is your proposal we cut out of the budget to come up with the funds? I guess that would be my question. But we can do that during budget if we decide to wait till budget. Commissioner
I think that was really my question, and I appreciate Commissioner Phil's response. I agree with him, and so that's why I was asking, like, does this need to get voted on today, or can we get through the budgeting process first, because this would fall into our 2026 budget, if I'm understanding this correct? So like, could we?
Commissioner Sabatini can
Okay.
address that question.
So we have two options on the table. Obviously, the millage is up for vote right now. The second would be, in regards to the capital plan, it's in the plan, we would have to allocate general fund dollars to the repair. In order to do that, we would have to do that during the budget process. Timing would be an issue. That's why this is probably on today's agenda, to make a decision which way we're going to go. That answers your question.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Would it make sense, whoever wrote the 0.1 millage, I am so grateful that there's 2 million in the budget right now. Would it take the pressure off and allow the board to talk more about the HVAC system if we just let that 2 million stand in the budget, move forward with that, withdraw this vote, and then talk about the rest of the money next year? Even though I would love to have it this year, I know things change in a year. I do. I'm just trying to be helpful, and I'm so grateful. Everyone here, thank you so much for speaking to it, speaking your heart on it. I'm so grateful for your love and care for the seniors here.
Director Evans, if I may, I think we should vote on this, in my opinion, I think we should vote on this millage today. It's on the agenda. We've already voted to move it to full board. If this does not pass today, then during budget, we discuss where we come up with the other 3 million. I think that's where we have to do it. We're gonna have to look through the budget, cut something in budget, so that way then this is put in place, so we can plan for this when we're doing our budget over the next month. Because we have to know one way or the other. Like, we're either gonna, we all have had this budget now, come up with ideas on where to cut, so we can make that difference up, so we can write them the check if we're not gonna do the millage. I think we should vote on the millage today. That's my opinion. Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Chair. The problem is, in my opinion, if we vote on this today and it passes, then the millage is passed.
Then we don't need to cut anything out of the budget.
It's planned on the budget. So my statement is, if this is withdrawn today, we already know, we're gonna give the money to Martha T. One way or another, Kevin's getting his money. And we all agree on that. Is there anybody here that doesn't agree on that? Well, I don't see any takers on it. So he's gonna get his money, and I agree. So I think his suggestion, and I appreciate what he said, is he's got there's 2 million there. Let's get him that. He'll worry about the rest of it either. But if this passes today, this is a done deal. So I think the idea is we'd have to have this withdrawn, and we have a maker of a motion and a supporter, and have that withdrawn, and wait till we do the budget process so we can get Kevin his money as quickly as possible.
If this is approved today, it
I'm
just
sorry,
goes to.
wait, you haven't asked me. We did have someone shaking their head back there that we should not wait, but real quick, before you speak, I would like to hear Chair Sabatini's opinion on this, if he doesn't mind.
Again, they got you again, Joe.
Remember, Barb, he knows everything. That's what you said.
Take a deep breath. So I understand Commissioner Romano's scenario here. I think with the motion on the floor, it's to go to full board. We still have some time within the next, is it 2 weeks before our next full board?
October 23rd.
So I think a decision should be made today, quite honestly, what we're going to do. If it's moving the full board, we have 2 weeks to make, obviously, the final decision. Rather than procrastinating, I think that's why it's on the agenda. I think that's why Chair Lucido put it on the agenda. And quite honestly, if it doesn't move forward, then we will have to deal with it a different way. So at this point, I think we should proceed forward and vote.
Just move it forward to full board.
That's what the motion's on the floor, Commissioner.
That wasn't my question. I'm sorry, Chair. My question is, should we move this for full board? If this passes, should we move it? We move it to full board.
That's what the motion.
So why not just pass it, move it to full board, and decide we're going to do it full board? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I said.
So let's pass it, move it to
Chair,
full board.
can I call the vote, please?
Yes.
We've been debating this for
All right,
49
can we
minutes.
please get to vote?
Clarify the motion now.
Just to move it to full board.
To move the.
Just to move it to full board.
Resolution to full board.
Not vote on it today?
The motion was to move it to full board. So we're going to be voting on it again in 2 weeks. If it passes.
If it passes.
So we
we have to vote on it now.
There's your answer.
This the full board.
Just to move it to full board.
Motion passes 8-5. Commissioners Goike, Grote, Kraft, Sabatini, and Van Sickle voting no.
All right.
I would like a reconsideration on my vote.
Okay.
I'm going no.
You can't do that
It's a
afterwards.
reconsideration
I mean,
of my vote according to the court. I can't do that.
You can make a reconsideration.
Thank you.
7-6. Still passes.
It still passes.
Still passes.
Motion passes 7-6. Commissioners
Does it
Goike,
still pass?
yes.
It still passes.
Commissioners Goike, Grote,
People said it passes.
Kraft, Romano, Sabatini, and Van Sickle voting no.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Kevin. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks, probably.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Do I have one more item on the agenda?
Yes, never mind.
But wait, there's more.
Next.
It better
I
be
think
short.
we're gonna get a little bit easier here, though. I think this
Yes.
is gonna get a little bit easier.
This one is simple. I'm
Oh,
sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, hold on
Point
one
of
minute.
order. Yeah.
I need a motion to receive and file items 9A and 9B.
So moved.
I have a motion by Howard and support by Wallace. Okay, Kevin, your budget time.
This budget is a placeholder budget, as we've discussed before. The challenge that we have is to present a budget that is finalized. We just received our new rate letter today. We have 3 collective bargaining agreements that we're in the process of renegotiating. We're getting our final numbers for healthcare yet. Even though you see our budget in front of you, you're going to be getting another one approved by our board in December. So I want all the commissioners to understand that this is as close to a good guess as Jeff and I can get as to where we're at right now, knowing that we're going to change some of these numbers as we get towards the end of the year. After we get our collective bargaining agreements in place, we get our final numbers on healthcare. You'll notice that from last year's budget, it's increased, even though we said we're going to be getting a reduction in our rate. That is because our census, we're a lot more confident in projecting our census this year to be higher. When we were struggling a couple of years ago, again, with the budget, and last year, we weren't sure we were going to get to the numbers that we're at. We're consistently between 207 and 212 right now, which this time last year, we were closer to 195. Significant difference in terms of revenue. We also are working on, again, growing our own, as we talked about, getting our own RNs and LPNs into places. What we found is that there's just no way to get rid of agency right now. The culture has changed so dramatically in long-term care. As a matter of fact, in clinical teams across not just our state, but the nation, where there's been the great resignation through COVID and people saying, well, I just want to work when I want to work. So agency, even though it's leveled out quite a bit, is still prevalent with a lot of staff saying, I want to go part-time. The other challenge that we have with this is ESTA, the Earned Sick Time Act, which was voted into place in Michigan, now makes us have to provide sick time for all part-time individuals, which is a significant increase in expense to Martha T. Berry, and it is an unfunded liability. So with those in mind, we have a lot of work to do before we'll get you a final budget, but this is a pretty good estimate where we're at. Jeff, did you want to share anything on it?
No, I think you hit on it.
Okay.
All right.
If you want to talk about this budget for an hour or so, we still have a lot of work to do, as Kevin said, to get some final numbers together. I don't think we'll see dramatic changes in the numbers that you're looking at right now, but it's going to be December before we have everything finalized.
All right. Thank you guys very much. I see no speakers, so I think you guys are all done.
I think I wore them out. Thank you, Madam
Yes,
Chair.
I think we did wear them
Thank you,
out.
everybody.
Everyone's quiet now.
And thank you again for your support.
No
I'm most
problem.
grateful. Thank you.
So now we're going to move on to community mental health, which is budget page E3.
No, I'm just trying to change.
All together.
He was just good.
And we have Tracy here to go over, we're going to be going over community mental health and substance abuse, which is pages E3 and 4 in the budget.
Yes, and it's going to be myself and Ken Melvin. He is our deputy CFO. Just as a general introduction, the great news for you from a time perspective is a lot of what Kevin just said is our dilemma too. If you're not familiar with us, we are also funded by Medicaid, which means we also don't have rates, or we have best guesses. So he's going to give you at a very high level overview of that, and of course, answer any questions. But I would be remiss not to take the opportunity to draw your attention to some materials that were put in front of you. If you wanted to know more about Macomb County Human Mental Health, there's a beautiful blue diagram in front of you, and it talks about the people that we serve, who they are. Last year, we served 18,425 people, and then, of course, it talks about the types of people we serve, from SUD, children's, adults, and those experiencing intellectual and developmental disabilities. There's also a one-pager in there if you wanted to know. I don't know, a lot of times you guys ask about like conferences and things that we do for our staff. So there's a one-pager talking about conferences. Overall, we did 197 conferences that we paid for. If you're not familiar with us, we're very similar to Kevin in the way that we're a medical facility or a medical service. Therefore, the majority of our staff have to be credentialed, have to have licensure. Therefore, because of that, they have to be trained in a large number of areas, including what we call evidence-based programs. We provide up to 18 evidence-based programs in our facilities. The other thing from a team perspective that I would draw our attention on is we actually have a good retention rate with up to 38% of the individuals that work in our organization have 5 or more years with us. And then our overall turnover rate is lower in comparison to others at about 18%. So that's a very high level. I didn't want to not take the opportunity to draw your attention to those. And last thing, we have diligently worked to get, I believe it's $374,000 in student loan forgiveness for the staff. So just to be clear, we don't actually do that, but we've done research. We've applied for applications where our organization, due to the population we serve and the demographic, geographically that we are in, it gives student loan credits for a number of different avenues. It's an ability for us to retain and recruit individuals, including psychiatrists. So I will hand it over to Ken.
Thanks, Tracy. My name is Ken Melvin. I'm the Deputy Chief Financial Officer at the CMH department. So thank you. I'm going to talk about our budget and some of the variances that you'll see when you look at the 2026 budget. It's kind of an interesting story when you look at our 2025 original budget. I'll say ditto to a lot of what Kevin said related to Martha T. Berry. We did not have final Medicaid rates until literally like the other day. So what we have is based on the estimates that we were provided earlier in September. There's still, the final rates were pretty close to that. So what we have here, I think is still good. But when you look at our 2025 budget, we had a very similar problem this time last year where we didn't have rates. The state also did a number of retro adjustments in 2025 to increase our revenue. So what that means is that if we had a 2025 projected column in here, our revenue would be roughly $50 million higher than our 2025 budget. So what does that mean going into 2026? With the state in 2026, we have a couple of things going on. As this group is likely aware, the CMH is also a CCBHC, which is a Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinic. And in 2025, 3 of our provider organizations also became CCBHCs. Why is that important? In 2026, they have, the state has moved to a direct pay model, and as a result, they're going to pay the CCBHCs directly, including ourselves. So they've taken revenue out of our budget to do so. So that's one of the big changes. What makes, the reason I'm saying all this is because when you look at our charges for services line, it actually appears to be an increase in revenue year over year. It is not, if you consider the fact that 2025 actuals are much higher. We're actually seeing a reduction in revenue from 25 to 26. So I know that makes these numbers confusing. What I'll also highlight as part of this is our contracted services line on the mental health fund. You'll see a decrease in expense there. The reason is that we were formerly paying these 3 CCBHCs for the services in our county. As I mentioned, they're now direct pay, so we won't have that expense on our books either. So that's the reason for that large decrease between services there. So eligibility, just as a reminder, we're funded based on all the Medicaid eligibles in the county, not just the folks that we see for services at CMH. And those trends have leveled off. They always tend to be kind of a wave based on who comes on and off of Medicaid in any given month. So the pandemic has largely stabilized in that regard. So you'll see our personnel expenses are going up year over year. We fully funded staff positions in the budget. We've put them at the top end of the range. The reason being for that is have trouble finding staff. There's not enough people out there to provide service to go around to all the different organizations that are trying to do so. And obviously the benefit loads that come with any of those vacancies and open hires. So that's a summary of the mental health fund. I was gonna stop there for questions or comments before I moved on to the substance use fund.
Yes, we do have one question. Commissioner Goike? Oh, I lied. We have a lot of questions. Commissioner Goike?
I wanted to go back to her about the student loan, kind of went over that real quick. So where's that money actually going to be coming from? Because these loans are separate. The learning institution can't just forgive it unless they take the money out of their endowment fund and pay it back to the lending institution. So where's it actually coming from?
So we have 3 different ones. There's one from the state of Michigan. It used to be called My Kids Now. So the state of Michigan actually set aside dollars for individuals who provide services in low-income areas, which part of Macomb County does meet that criteria, specifically for behavioral health. Because much like the medical industry, we have a workforce shortage in certain positions. So if they hold a position, they apply for it, over a period of time, over a 2-year period of time, they can get up to $20,000 forgiven from their student loans, and the state of Michigan pays directly the either lending institution or whoever they're paying. There are one other one, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. It's a federal program that's been existed for a number of years. If you're not familiar with this, Macomb County, because it again has pockets of geography that meets the standards, we as an organization, because we're also a governmental entity, anyone who works in our organization provides services after years of tenure, essentially. They're like years of service, get them loan forgiveness through a federal government program.
So the state of Michigan is, if I recall, Kalamazoo had a grant, for that area, started one on for college loan. And then the state kind of modeled something after that, wasn't it? Is that
It
where the
was.
fund
This
is
one's
coming
different, though. This one's like, that one's before the fact, if that makes sense, like to
Yes,
pay
it is.
for.
It does make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
this
get it.
one is more like, if you work in an organization that's governmental is an acceptable one,
Yeah.
and we geographically applied for an application, because there's a third one that we apply, your area that you serve in meets that demographic.
I understand that. I just
Okay.
I wasn't aware that the state had any of them out other than that Kalamazoo plan.
Yeah,
and
they
that was
changed
a
the name, and
prepaid.
I can get you the name of it. It used to be called My Kids Now, but they just changed the name, but it's all over the state.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Kraft?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I obviously know this budget pretty well, but I just wanted to note a couple of things for commissioners. As you can see, the overall budget is about $325 million. The county puts in $3,752,000, and that's been pretty consistent over the years. And also, I want to reiterate what Ken said about the personnel line, because as a commissioner sitting here, that $10 million difference from last year to this year looks exponential. But that's because, like Ken said, we do fully fund every single position that we have, and we have hundreds of positions at CMH, and we fully fund them. And as you can see over the prior years, that number is significantly smaller. And also, the CMH board approved this budget before it got here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So that means there's going to be 2 yes votes for sure, is what he's saying. Commissioner Sabatini?
Thank you, Chair. What I'm looking at in both your budgets, the board's trying to find money. Based on your fund balances, which are pretty healthy, quite honestly, Why is there a need for a general fund transfer in both of these budgets?
So the general fund transfer, you know, we certainly appreciate this body supporting mental health and SUD services. So some of what we have in fund balance can only be spent on certain things. So the local contributions from the county tend to be the less restrictive dollars. So we can use them for a range of things. So for instance, we use it to cover our local match that the state requires. So there's some of those dollars that are kind of earmarked for very specific things. And also, you know, we use it on state inpatient, for instance, and folks who don't have any insurance at all tends to be where we put a lot of those funds. So we put it to good use. A lot of our fund balance is related to our internal service fund. And what that is our risk reserve that we're allowed to keep as we are a prepaid inpatient health plan, which I think is a topic further on the agenda here, but you know, more or less an insurance company in a lot of ways. We're allowed to carry a reserve to cover our risk. When rates go down, we can dip into the ISF to use that. And it's very specific to Medicaid services.
So
very restrictive.
If you didn't have the transfers from the general fund in your budgets, you could still theoretically come to the board and ask for an amendment if you needed an additional amount.
I think.
Yes, as long as the match was met, because we do have a requirement for the county.
Right, so
to do the
those
match.
are like grant dollars, they're dollar for dollar matches. So it's because obviously the 3.7 million is not all dollar for dollar, it's a portion of that. So you need the dollar for dollar portion in order to get that grant, similar to other.
We have to have the match, correct?
Okay. Is that, I don't need the answer today, but I'd like to know exactly what that number is in both of these budgets. If you could provide it to us.
The specifics on the match?
The specific number that you need to get the grant, to do the match. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Romano?
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to get back to what Commissioner Kraft mentioned. Maybe you can explain it to me one more time. I'm looking at personnel. There's no, it looks like almost the same amount of personnel that you had in 2025. And Mr. Kraft, or Commissioner Kraft just mentioned that you fund all of the personnel. And I'm looking at 2026. And explain where that $10 million is, why that increase?
Yep, so last year, I think we budgeted it at the midpoint of vacancies. This year, we budgeted it at the high point on salaries in an effort to hopefully attract folks and retain them to these positions. And also, we've seen an increase in our benefit expense just generally across the board.
So this is the benefit part that you're talking about, the $10 million benefit?
Some of it is.
I don't understand.
Yeah. So I can look further into that if you'd like, but that's the general explanation on our personnel lines is just how we fund that and how we chose to make the assumption of how we budget for the vacancies.
If it's helpful, I'll say it same thing differently, just to see if it helps. So we originally budgeted at full amount and mid-level. So if somebody made $100,000 a year, right, we were budgeting at $100,000 a year, the maximum. The previous year we budgeted in this example, it may be $70,000 if they had the lower range. In addition to that, we always hope to fill all the positions 100% of the time. Unfortunately, due to turnover and workforce shortages, we often have about 40 open positions at any time. So we budgeted for all those vacancies, the 40 that I'm referencing, to be fully funded at the highest amount. And what traditionally happens is, despite our diligent efforts of needing every single one of those 40 people, we don't end up getting them filled the full period of time. Often, right or wrong, the length of time it takes to fill a county position is often a little bit longer than we would like. So also even in that, sometimes we'll have a position that might go unfilled for 6 months, 8 months of that 12-month budget period. So I don't know if that helps, but that's where there's this large budget. It is a way that we budget, right? Because again, we're budgeting at the maximum amount for all positions to be filled.
Okay, I think I got it. So this is predicated on the fact that you filled all those positions, that extra 10 million. Does that sound right? So why would you not come back to us, lower that by 10 million and come back to us and say, listen, we filled 6 more positions we're going to need, instead of lieu of us allocating another $10 million to you now?
I think it's just the idea of the efficiency of already having it in the budget when we, I would argue that our funding structure is different, largely on the Medicaid dollars, so there isn't a dollar for dollar impact to the county per se when we do that. So we fully loaded in an effort to keep those things moving throughout the year.
This is just in case you fill those, but, okay, I got it, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano. And also to clarify too, we only are putting a little over 3 million in their budget. Everything else they get are, revenue for,
I
so.
found $3 million already.
I know, Joe did too.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Chair.
Hall?
Thank you, Chair.
My statement is simple. I just want to congratulate Commissioner Romano. He didn't find 3 million, he found 10.
Yes, he did. He
There you
did.
go.
You already got it.
Thanks, Joe.
Martha T's all set.
I'm just kidding. Thank you.
If only it was that easy to move from one pocket to the other.
Okay, is that all you had? Commissioner Hall, you have another question?
Chair.
Okay, thank you. That's all we have for community mental health. Oh,
Sorry, I do
Commissioner
have a
Zinner?
question. Yeah, it's not working. What is the percentage usually when you have 40 more people or X amount of people? What's the likelihood that you'll fill those positions, or what, throughout the next year? How many do you normally fill? 50%? 80%?
I don't know if I'd be able to give you the number of 40%. On average, out of the 300, and forgive me, number of positions, we traditionally have about 40 openings. When I say about, it goes like this. It goes down to about 35, 34, then it goes back up to 42, so that's why I'm giving you that number.
So for that 10 million, what's the likelihood? How much of that 10 million do you expect you'll really fill? I realize you don't
Yes.
know, but what do you generally get with that?
In order to give you the best answer, my suggestion is that we come back to you with, about what that would be, the variance of those average 40 unfilled positions for a period of time, to give you more, because I would be guessing without.
My estimate of that would be in that $6 to $7 million range at the end of the day is what we would expect to have is based on prior history, that would be our unexpended dollars in that line item.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, we are going to move on now to budget page E4, substance abuse.
Sure. I think really the only thing I wanted to highlight with substance use is the increase in contracted services line is pretty substantial. The reason for that is we, definitely see an increased need for these services in the community. So not only did we increase rates for our SUD providers, but additionally, we're expecting to bring on a DCO, which is a designating collaborating organization. They're one of our providers that will function under our CCBHC. We do pay a higher rate to them due to some of the administrative burdens that we put on them being a DCO under that program. So that's the increased costs there. I think we're actually planning to bring several DCOs as it relates to SUD. So that'll increase our substance use provider network and expand that to the mild to moderate folks in the community that we wouldn't have traditionally served without the CCBHC. So I think that'll be a nice boost for the community.
All right.
And I'll highlight here too, the transfer in from the general fund on this page is related to PA2 funding. It's not, we get the liquor tax, right? And I think we get 40% of that out of that. That's the new model. So that's not a transfer in from the general fund per se. We have it listed that way because, it comes from the county's funds as a pass-through.
All right, seeing no speakers, can we get a motion to receive and file, or we already have a motion, can we please vote on 9A and B? Oh, sorry.
Nope, I voted.
Hello, sorry, I was just gonna reiterate what Ken said too, as Dave reminded me, there's substance abuse, the general fund contribution is all prescribed by state law. So it is just the pass-through that is going in there, so it's not county money. Just for the substance abuse. Yes, yep, thank you.
All right, can we vote?
Again? Okay. I'll vote again.
Thank you.
Motion passes 13-0.
Okay, we're gonna move on to item 10, creation of prepaid insurance health plans, which I believe we discussed yesterday. Can I get a motion to grant full board approval at committee tonight to adopt items 10A through 10C?
Support.
All right, I got a lot of motions and a lot of support, so we'll give it to Kraft and to Wallace. All right.
We're voting.
Seeing no speakers, can we please vote?
Nobody want to talk about it?
Do you want to talk about it?
No?
Okay, well, nope. Talked about it yesterday.
Done.
All right, we're moving on to item 11.
Wait a minute, did it pass?
Motion passes 13-0.
It did.
Way to go.
I knew it would, so that's why I was like,
I understand.
all right, we're moving on to public participation. This is the opportunity for the public to participate. Anyone have anything to say? Nope. Closing part, public participation, moving on to commissioner comments.
When?
Seeing no commissioner comments, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Support.
All those in